It's the Morning Brew with friends. We got a packed house today. I love it. My buddy Eddie Tafoya is on this morning to be talking about his new book. We got friends from the Valle de Oro that's celebrating its second anniversary, and we have Dr. Wang talking men's health all month long on the Morning Brew with friends. Come on over. I love this, and having Eddie on the show, it's been a while.
Great to be here.
It's great catching up with you. I hadn't seen you around in a bit, but I guess that's because you had been buried in work on your new book.
I've been buried in work, yes.
Is that a good thing?
Talking to the muse.
Is that a good thing?
That's been a wonderful thing.
Awesome.
I'm more comfortable when I'm living in my own little bubble there.
Well, first things first this morning, we got to kick it off with the headlines. They're brought to us by our friends at the Tony and Guy Hairdressing Academy. And this is. Have you been paying attention to the news? I know you're a former news guy.
I'm a former news guy, yes.
Reformed news guy, as it were.
Yes, detoxing news guy.
Right. And have you been paying attention to the news this week yet?
A little bit.
Because there was that police shooting contest, and this isn't a contest to shoot police. This is a marksmanship contest for police. And these guys are in Albuquerque right now. It's something Albuquerque's hosted for 20 years. But it's kind of a bad time to have a marksmanship contest in Albuquerque.
I would say so. It doesn't do a lot for our reputation.
Right. Well, our reputation right now, being under DOJ, Department of Justice, caveats, I guess, might be the best way to put it right now. It's a tough thing. And so protesters, of course, came out for it. So if you're driving around this weekend and saw these guys going up Lomas, they were heading to the Embassy Suites where the officers are staying. And then this is interesting. Last night, I'm assuming you didn't go to the city council meeting.
I did not go to the.
You missed one.
The first one I've missed in years.
Oh man, dinner theater, as I like to call it.
No, okay.
But these guys last night, they debated whether or not to decriminalize marijuana in Albuquerque. This has been something that has been a big topic for a while, ever since Colorado legalized it, and was it Washington State has legalized it, so was Washington D.C. Some others are looking at it, and in Albuquerque they were. There's a pretty good-sized movement right now to decriminalize marijuana, and that would mean that anything less than an ounce, a little small amount of it, would not be a criminal offense. It would just be put that away kind of a thing, not a...
Yeah, for me, that's coming like 40 years too late. You know that.
Mm-hmm. Well, were you with that guy in the 60s and 70s? Were you...
In high school?
Yeah.
I could tell you stories.
Well, we have more time.
One of the stories is in the book.
We got a lot of time today. So it looks like, though, the mayor has said he's going to veto it. The city council did pass it 5-4, and unless one of those guys changes their minds, there's not enough votes to actually override the veto. The mayor says that he's going to veto it because there's questions about what do you do with federal law, what do you do with state law. Nothing jives, so that's going to be his reason for vetoing it. But what do you think about that?
I mean, I think it's utterly ridiculous to make carrying marijuana such a horrible crime.
Right.
So the punishment so severe.
Yeah.
Because, as my friend Stephen Michael Quesada says, you can get in a car accident when you're high on pot, but how much damage are you going to do at 3 miles an hour?
I love having comedians on the show. This is awesome. In more police news, APD is getting $250,000 for body cameras, which I read this headline. I was like, this is awesome. They're getting $250,000, but it turns out it's matching grant. So if you read the fine print on this one, they still have to pay $250,000 to get the $250,000. So and that's not in the budget right now.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that ever happens. See if that money actually shows up in the budget. And then, do you know what an IRB is? We were trying to explain this earlier, and this is called an industrial revenue bond, and for a giant Caterpillar plant, which would be pretty awesome.
That would be good,
right? And Caterpillar is in earth-moving equipment, not the little worms.
Yeah.
But this could be going out in the South
Valley. We're not
Valley.
going to start producing butterflies.
No.
Unless the marijuana thing really goes
Unless
through.
that takes off. Maybe the city and the county needs to get together with the Caterpillars and the marijuana, and then they put a body camera on it.
I see potential.
Right. We got a business. We'll call it the Morning Bud Brew.
There you go.
Something like that. And it's always awesome to see local businesses doing well. ATA in Albuquerque, they're a company that does R&D on a very, very large level, Applied Technology Associates. And they just won a $500 million contract with NASA, like right out of Albuquerque. And they've been working with NASA for years. And this is the same company that actually did all of the background research and all the support stuff for the guy that went up in the Red Bull balloon. Remember the guy who went up to the stratosphere in the balloon and then jumped out?
Yeah, I know exactly.
Same company. And they're now working with NASA, and they're going to be doing satellite support on some very cool stuff. It's payload stuff on satellites. I just think that's awesome.
I think it's wonderful when... I love seeing Albuquerque get this kind of attention.
Right, it's rare, because normally we get it for stuff like the police shooting contests.
Right, exactly.
And it's nice to see Albuquerque getting attention for something that's a $500 million science thing, right?
Yeah.
And then finally tonight, in headlines, the Emmys had made some history. Did you see the Emmys? Did you watch them?
I did not see the Emmys. I'm sorry. I was at the city council meeting.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Of course, yeah. Well, dinner theater.
Yeah.
But the Emmys made some amazing history. I love it. Viola Davis won her Emmy for How to Get Away with Murder, where she plays a lawyer. And she's making history with that. And John Hamm from Mad Men. Did you watch Mad Men? Were you a fan?
I never saw Mad Men.
Yeah, I lost it after like the third season, second season. I got the premise, ready to move on. But John Hamm from Mad Men finally won his first Emmy after the show ends. I actually won the Emmy, and then a bunch of guys from Empire won, and so did Game of Thrones. And it's rare for a fantasy show like Game of Thrones to actually win anything.
Oh, but Game of Thrones is dominating things these days.
Right? It's so much fun to watch. And it turns out that, George R.R. Martin's a local guy from Santa Fe.
Oh, yeah.
Which is great.
Owns the John Cocteau.
I know, and he's killing it. So we'll be back in a couple of seconds. We'll talk more about your book, Men's Health, and the Via d'Oro in just a couple of minutes on the Morning Brew.